Welcome back to Tyranny, where last episode we went to the Sunset Spire, unlocked that. We also went and started Barik's companion quest, trying to get him to get out of that bulky-ass armor of his. Oh god, look, it's got spikes on the back. Good lord, that's got to be uncomfortable. That is eternal pain. And no, I'm getting my boy out of that. I don't care how much you fucking hate me. I gotta get, oh, that's the first F-bomb. Interesting. But we gotta get my boy out of that. For some context, I'm recording this fairly late night, but nobody is home. The complicating factor is more so that I have to get up early tomorrow. But clearly I'm not going to get a whole lot of sleep, but whatever. You guys don't come here for the real life nonsense. You come here for the roleplay potential. And the funny voices that I try to make serious, but they don't happen to be serious. So, got my energy drink that I just drank a little bit of. Probably right into the mic, which is horrible. Sorry about that. But that being said, I don't know what my objective is. Oh shit, we're going to the... Oh no, that's the way to Vegas. Oh yeah, I have to return to Ari. Cool. So we're still reporting our success and talking to these people to get an idea of what our next goal is. Which means... Well, I've never done the Rebel playthrough. I've done the Anarchist playthrough, but I've never done a Rebel playthrough. So I don't know if we're going to Sentinel Stand first, or if we get to choose between the Stone Sea and the Burning Library. Either way, they're not super quick. I think well, they're not super long either. I think the Stone Sea is actually what's going to take the longest, and I think the Burning Library is the quicker one. But I will go to Sentinel Stand outskirts first, because I have to help up Barik. And as you can see on the map, Vendrian's well as ours, as well as the realm of Haven, where Lethian's Crossing is. Encounter in the Blade Grave. Through the billowing dirt and dust kicked up by the Edict of Storms, you make your way out of the shifting solutions of a small group ahead of you. Appearing lightly armed and armored, the group pulls two carts in their wake. They have not noticed you through the maelstrom. I'm just going to sneak on by because they could be disfavored. They may not be disfavored, but they could be disfavored, and I do not want to get Barik more pissed at me, especially considering this is disfavored territory. If this was our territory, things might be a little bit different. We did also receive another missive onto the subject of the spires. Salutations, Ethan Drake. It is difficult to separate fact from superstition when it comes to edicts, as it seems only Kairos knows how it all works. The rest of us are left to live in fear and ponder it all. Sorry about that. Kairos' edicts are a strong sort of... As I said, it's late night. Kairos' edicts are a sort of magic above and beyond even the Archons. I dare say the edicts are stronger than Kairos, as there's no evidence that Kairos can willingly stop an edict once it is set in motion. Which is why, in part, Kairos' edicts seem to have an until or unless clause in their wording. I know the edict, as powerful as it is, requires a human voice to complete the casting. Thus, the Overlord has people like you proclaim the edicts cast far from the Imperial throne. The magic is Kairos' magic, but the human voice is the final carrier or trigger to complete the magical phenomena. And here's what's most fascinating, at least so far as you're concerned. There have been dozens of mortal agents who have been made to proclaim edicts. 2/3 of them die within a decade, and many gave reports of lingering mystic scars from the ordeal. And there have been also a handful to resolve or break an edict. These until and unless clauses get fulfilled from time to time, and we see a familiar pattern in history. Those who resolve an edict often live short lives, and many speak of arcane side effects of shattered edicts. Here's where you're unique. To the best of my fact-finding, you are the first to proclaim and break the exact same edict. Whatever mystical power is involved in the creation and destruction of such magics, you are the first to stand at the terminus of both. Now, I know that the spires can be awoken. It makes sense that, if anything can or would wake them, a shattered edict seems the most likely culprit. Kairos had other edicts in place throughout the tiers. If you truly wish to learn more, perhaps you should take it upon yourself to shatter those edicts. After all, if Kairos did not wish for the edicts to be broken, why include a termination clause? Myothis. Ask about the spires. Dear Myothis, it seems wise to know one's own domain, and seeing as I'm now master of the mountain spire, I ought to learn, and the sunset spire, I ought to learn all that I can. If you would share me what you know, I would be in your debt. I'll start with what I know and have observed so far. The mountain spire seems to be awoken at the same instant that Kairos' edict was put to rest. There was a burst of arcane energy that drowned out my senses, and I awoke at the summit of the spire in what seemed to be just a few heartbeats of time. Atop the spire is an old sculpture of sorts. It appears to be the core of the spire's mystic energy. I've been seeing visions and receiving sensations from the structure. It seems odd to describe it as talking to me, but that seems the closest analogy. Am I the first to report such things? There are other spires elsewhere in the world, correct? So I'll send my missive, and I shall go. And figure out what the hell's going on here.
Can't do that.
Probably go here. What are Chorus doing so far into disfavored territory? They're gonna die. The dumb fools are all gonna die. Ain't no verse to protect them now. Crimson flashes among the torn terrain of the Blade Grave as the gang emerges from the landscape around you. They're hardened men and women, with well-weathered skin and narrow eyes, their piecemeal leather armor graced with notes of bronze. Oh, I clicked the button too quick. Beautiful scenery, no? Truly displays the indiscriminate artistry of our overlord. And am I supposed to know who you are? Name's Careless Spark. Ridiculous, you're telling yourself, but I think it suits. Gets to the core in a way that the mother name never did. Get on with it and tell me what you want. I'm aiming to have a word with your bronze boy there. She nods to Barik. I will spare you no breath, Crimson Witch. You heard Barik. Whatever you're peddling, not interested. In that case, perhaps I can interest you, Fatebinder. I don't expect you're willing to sell the ironclad services to us. The Archon of Secrets would be wildly, ridiculously grateful to have a personal audience with him. I think that I speak for both Barik and myself when I tell you we'd sooner see him dead than in the hand of the voices. That's the wisest sentiment I've heard in days. Shall we rid the tears of this filth, then? I thought it might come to this in the end. Now let's see if you live up to your legend. She sighs and hefts her staff as her gang moves to attack.
This'll be fun.
Yeah, hell no. Barik is my buddy, even though he fucking hates me. I'm trying, Barik. I like how I immediately obliterated the horde. You guys have no idea the awesome might contained within my form.
Take that! That's how I like my prey. Well hung and helpless.
What? Oh god, Eb. Maybe I should start doing a more, like, seductress voice for her. But that's not her voice, though. She's full of innuendos. She has a very dirty mind, just not a dirty voice. Oh, man. Come on, let's wrap up these chorus fools. We're so close. We're so close.
I need to try something else. Oh, I'm enjoying this a bit too
wizard
much.
man, I'll deal with him.
Could this weapon be any more useless?
Ah, the fury.
That attack didn't work.
That's why. Tough sons of bitches.
Another gang of crimson corpses made of trespassers upon the Blade Grave. Let's claim what brought us here.
He sighs.
Will this do? It is nigh the size of a kite shield.
Metal is metal.
You have your rock. Let us leave this place.
Something bothering you?
I have repeatedly asked you to leave this be, yet you persist. Do you think that you act in my interest? Do you think you know better than I where my interest lies?
Barik, I just want to help. Why are you so resistant to it?
There was no ambiguity in the Archon of Justice's ruling.
You're right. I'll give more consideration to your concerns.
Thank you, Fatebinder. If this did not concern only myself, I would not question your decision so openly. But my interest in this is, well, obvious.
Peering at the ground for several seconds, Barik says nothing, then turns his attention back to you.
This place haunts me, Fatebinder. These walls, these lands, they were hard ones, but they possessed an austere beauty. The general saw them for what they were, lands well worth fighting for. The winds that day, they swept everything aside. They tumbled tearsmen and livestock like children's playthings. The dust choked our mouths and eyes. Trees appeared as if by magic, only to be smashed into splinters against stones. And those splinters cut like knives.
You forget, Barik. You forget. I proclaimed that edict. I watched as the countryside burned in agony.
I did what had to be done. Refusal meant death. You want to know why I fight for the rebels? You want to know why I fight for these tearsmen? It's to right the wrong done that day. You're damn right I had my orders. I'm gonna assume you've read this. I'm not gonna. If I read it, I'm gonna take myself out of the moment. I think I already have, but
We were no fools. We knew what had fallen upon us, and we took cover as best our iron shields and the general's protection allowed. Yet the wind tore us away, one by one. Some silent, some screaming.
and it is that I regret that I did not warn the people.
Now only I remain. in this state.
His gauntlet rings against his breast, cutting off any possible response.
Take the metal to your smith, or do not. There's nothing further to be said. Let us leave.
You do not wish to shed the memories. I get it now. It's your mark, your curse. But, that being said, it is not yours to bear. It is mine. And this is another wrong to be righted. Another wrong of mine to be righted by my hand. Understand that, Barik? I wish I could say that. I really, really wish I could say that. Then maybe he'd fucking listen to me. But that was good. That was real good. That was a good moment. We needed that. I think the series needed that moment to happen. Some good, honest, emotional responses in character. I feel like we really needed one of those, and we did. So. And we've got our missive back. You are correct. There are spires all across Taratus. The exact distribution of these monuments fuels all sorts of debate and speculation, but two facts seem commonplace. Most spires are built near the old walls. Your mountain spire is a notable exception. And nearly every culture that predated Kairos has some local myth to explain the builders of these spires. I believe the Tiersmen cite the older realms as to their local name for the spire/old walls architects, but nobody knows for sure. And of course, where Kairos has brought proper civilization, the origin of the spires simply isn't discussed in good company. Here's what I think you need to know. Firstly, the spires behave as an arcane lodestone. There is a constant field of magical strength around a spire. If you imagine a mystic sea resting atop our world, the spires seem to spin and churn this magic. Creating a spell cast with even modest effort will materialize with powerful result. Second, and I'll say most tellingly, Kairos has laws against entering the old walls, but there are no laws against the spire. You could infer from this that means that Kairos has no issue with the lay folks messing with the spires, but wishes to keep us safe from the old walls, or, and I believe this is the far more likely answer, you could think like an overlord, and know that if you place a rule against something, you make it forbidden and desirable. Now, I find it telling that Kairos forbids the hallways that leads to the spires, but does not paint a target on the spires themselves. Last but not least, as a young Fatebinder, I once had to oversee the case of a man who had built a shrine to Kairos around the base of a spire in the far southeast. I could find no evidence of falsity or slander. His shrine was most reverent and loving tribute as I've ever seen. At one point, though, the man claimed he had evidence that Kairos was here back in -50. Which, I'm going to interrupt my read real quick to say that based on my realization during one of the load screens, in one of the previous videos, I believe that was actually when we took Vendrian's Well, at the end of the first chapter, I 100% believe that Kairos' powers, he or she, they, I believe, again, is the proper pronoun, they acquired their edicts and other archon abilities from the spires. Just based off of his banner alone, I mean, come on, guys. I honestly, I'm surprised that I missed it in my first couple of playthroughs. But hey, at least I caught it now, and it's actually being, recorded. Anyway, back to the missive. He had merely uttered those words, and my senior binder swung the axe then and there. Being the new girl at court, I said nothing, but I have long wondered why such a comment should require death instead of the traditional removal of the tongue. Because it's true and a secret, and they're supposed to keep that shit on lock. Dear Mythosis, or Mythosis, Myoth, whatever. Dear Mrs. M. Or Miss M, whatever. I appreciate the information. Thank you for sharing. Knowing what you do of my situation, what would you do? Not that I particularly care, but Ethan does, and Ethan would inquire, and so I shall. That is simply the nature of it all. Da, 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 into the thing. Da, 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 da. Do 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 do. No 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 no. Oh fuck. No, it's not. She's not in here. I don't think she's in here. Oh no, she is. She's at the final. She's at the thingy. She's at the thingy before the spire.
You must gather your party before venturing forth.
Oh, isn't that ingrained into everybody's skull? I have it from Star Wars, which is... Actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to remind everyone, since I've done it in Doom now, and I believe I've done it in Stellaris, but I don't think I've done it in Tyranny, although I think I did it in the description. After Tyranny is over... Actually, I think I might have done it in Tyranny. Whatever. After Tyranny is over, playing Star Wars Knights of the Republic, please comment below, either in this video or any other future videos, obviously until series release, what class you want to see me play. There is the Soldier, the Scout, and the Scoundrel, and then the Jedi classes are Guardian, Sentinel, and Counselor. If you want to research what they actually do, by all means, go ahead. If you don't care and just went, that sounds cool, that works too. There are also weapon styles that I will have people vote for as well, because honestly, I can do all three. And there's no reason for me to not go with one particular style unless the audience says otherwise. So that's your chance to have things be shaken up. Which is, of course, one single-handed weapon, one double-handed weapon, or two single-handed weapons. So I'm not going to tell you which is better or worse. Honestly, just go by whatever you think would look the coolest, because the game's not hard enough for it to be an issue, especially not with me min-maxing anyway. If it was an issue, I wouldn't have it be a votable item. So just, comment on whatever you think would look cool. Oh, shit. I wasn't expecting her to be here. Zendia, Master of the Forge. Fatebinder, I've been meaning to thank you for your help at Lethian's Crossing. Working at the forge has renewed, and we will soon have the finest arms and armor for this coalition of yours. Provided you keep Lethian's Crossing safe from the other Archons, we will entertain the challenge of armoring whatever motley you manage to assemble. All the arms and the tiers will mean little if there is no one left to wield them. I suggest we pursue the Unbroken as our next ally. They've done irreparable harm to the disfavored with salvaged weapons. Imagine what they could do with Gyros' own armor, on iron. I hit the wrong button. I hate the fucking double click. Thank God I can scroll up.
You expect me to cooperate with the warriors of Stalwart? It was their stubbornness that put me in this armor. The grieved general, with uncounted losses.
Barik massages the brow of his helm. The forge-bound master eases back in regard to Barik from a position of safety. No one's jumping to conclusions here, my ironclad friend. I would rather see us allied to the Earthshakers myself. This coalition needs intellect and strategy if we're to avoid the mistakes of the past. She blinks at him twice. You are a remarkable specimen, aren't you? When this conflict is over, you must allow me to inspect that suit of yours. There is a symbolic victory in winning over an Archon's loyal servants to our cause, and if they know magic, that's a tactical advantage that we can't ignore. Ari taps her chin in thought. If we are certain the Earthshakers won't stay loyal to their disfavored allies and strike us from within, then perhaps this is the right course of action. Why not both? Oh, we certainly could try, assuming they're all willing to share the same tent, and assuming other powers don't get to them first. In time, we should seek to gather as many allies as we can, but you're our top representative and can't be in two places at once, so who do you wish to approach first? What of the burning library? Could we seek help there? We had a few sages join our cause. They fought with us, and died with us, during the siege. From what they've told me, the burning library is abandoned, save for a few chorus gangs looting what's left of the place. We might find a few scragglers in the ruins, but we need more than just a few volunteers. We need an army. I will send another pair of scouts to see if we can make contact with the sage's leadership, whatever's left of it. But for now, let's focus our efforts on known quantities. I will seek out the Unbroken. A fine choice. Navigating the storm is difficult, but I will deploy a team of scouts to plot a route for your travels. Your passage to the Blade Grave will be here. To the Blade Grave will be clear. We could do a lot worse than put forge-bound swords in deserving hands. Zinda, fuck. Words do not work today, which is bad. Zedenia beams with pride. Whatever happens, make sure you come back to Ascension Hall in one piece. This coalition needs its leader, and I would hate for the Forge-bound to fall back into Kairos' hands. The disfavored beat the snot out of the Unbroken, but they never did claim Sentinel Stand Keep. The last vestiges of the Regents, Stalwart's rulers, are probably still hiding in their fortress. You might also have some luck prowling the wilds of the Blade Grave for Unbroken partisans, but I imagine they're a dying breed these days. I can't imagine how they live through being chased by the disfavored and plagued by the Edict of Storms.
Fatebinder, I offer you my support on this mission. The Blade Grave is a place of memory. I have left many cohorts buried among the ruins, and no small part of myself as well.
We already had this discussion. Hell the fuck yes. That's hence why I skipped all the other dialogue, because I wouldn't have said that. I would have been like, we already discussed this, hell the fuck yes, leading to this.
I appreciate that, Fatebinder. Graven Ash is attentive and understanding to each of his troops, and it pleases me to see his example in you.
Thank fucking God. I brought his loyalty to tier 3. Hopefully he won't fucking hate me.
I will point you the way to Sentinel Stand. It would take me 100 lifetimes to forget those old walls, or the day the Edict shattered our advantage.
Yes, we already talked about that. I did things a little out of order. Ooh, shit. Tunon wants to talk with me. Ooh, damn. That ain't good. Oh, this is not good. Fatebinder, you are to report to the Bastard City at once. Be prompt. Ethan Drake, orders reach the court that you have dealt with the seditious mercenaries claiming for themselves to be the mantle of defenders of Lethian's Crossing. You have the gratitude of both myself and the Overlord. The disruptions in the settlement have long stymied the production of iron goods for the war effort. Forge Master Zedenia personally thanked me for your intervention, so he further informed me of your arrangement with her. So as long as you remain loyal to the Overlord's law, I see no conflict of interest in one of my vassals taking the role of leadership over one of my sworn guilds. Take care not to abuse that role. I will send a confirmation.
Sorry, I can't.
As I did during the conquest, and actually I should check my diary again, but as I did during the conquest, I'm not... Oh, fucking Narat. Fucking Narat. As I said, I'm not going to play my hand too early.
Dearest Fatebinder, champion of Tunan's Gavel, slayer of choir men, we hope you'd recognize that we bear you no ill will. Who understands treachery, if not the Archon of Secrets? We've always held you to the very highest esteem for the work of other specialists in the art of the duplicious. Make no mistake, dear Fatebinder, after your little performance at Vendrian's Well, and with such a flair for the theatrical illumination, you have ascended in our estimate. We will trust you will understand when we peel the flesh from your bones and squeeze the bile from your quivering innards. It is strictly out of the artistic integrity and the courtesy of ode to a fellow professional. Nothing personal at all. But enough about our friendly rivalry. Do you understand? I'm gonna take a drink now.
Voicing him leaves a foul taste in my mouth. Ugh, scum.
Do you enjoy the company of our little spy? Her dance never fails to inspire us in the most pleasant quivers. We have a gift for her, delivered through you due to the girl's questionable faculty with letters. We've learned from one of our birdies that a mercenary in Haven has been absolutely gloating about slaying one of her sisters. His boasts even secured him work at defending some crossing merchant. Show her the sigils on the reverse. She'll know what they mean.
The voices of Narat, the Archon of Secrets, and Master of Cacophony. The opposite page contains several rough, ink-scratched symbols that look nothing more than a child's pictographs of their favorite animals.
I will threaten the fuck out of him because, as I've said before, this is my third playthrough of Tyranny, and he was not a threat even in the second one. New Game Plus, baby! Unstoppable badass! Narat, I don't know what you have planned for Verse, but I promise to unravel it. As you watch your little plot collapse among itself, imagine what I'll do to your grandest designs before I bring my blade to you. That's right, fuck you, Narat. Hate that man. Fucking hate that man. I helped him the first time. The first playthrough, I helped the Scarlet Chorus. And then well, then I went rogue and killed Narat. Which, granted, may not have been the wisest choice, but that's what I did. I probably could have made Verse the voices of Narat in that particular playthrough, and everything would have been fine and dandy. But I wasn't very keen on the idea of feeding one of my party members to that thing.
Fatebinder wants Beast Woman?
Let's play a game. Immediately, the Beast Woman perks up, back straightening as her red eyes rove you with interest.
Like playing with prey, or with pack. Would play sometimes with stone whelps. What, mate? Slaughter.
Her dark maws part in a massive, fangy grin.
I'm always down for a game. Unless it involves throwing and catching. In which case,
Is easy. Packmate chooses one of each. What, mate? Slaughter. If prey is chosen, pack joins ensuing hunt. If packmate is chosen and both agree to game, then pack gets to watch.
Rut, mate, slaughter, eh? Well, does it have to be 3 different people? I rutted with my old gang boss, Fine Ass. Mated him for a time, and then I killed him. Of all my days running with the chorus, I think I enjoyed Ass Gang the most.
Oh, I get it. Okay. I'd rut Barik, since Kairos' forces need a little pillage and rape in return. I'd mate with Verse, mostly to take half of whatever land she's going to someday conquer. Obviously, I'd kill Lantry. Who wouldn't?
What? I'm old enough to be everyone's father. This is disgusting.
This is a wonderful distraction from the problems of tyranny.
Wow. I appreciate being included in this little... Well, I'm not even really sure what to call this. It's not like any game I've ever played, but... I'm gonna say nothing and pretend like I haven't heard a word anyone said. And then I'm gonna go sing myself a little amnesia.
Don't blame you. Barik looks at you and simply shakes his head in horror and disbelief. Which doesn't surprise me.
How could Beast Woman choose any other? Would Rut ebb, ghoul in hot fast? Would mate Alpha and would slaughter, carve back to pieces, slowly, savoring while slicing flesh from neck. Yep.
Oh, man. I'd like to spar with you.
Beast Woman gets to play fight with Alpha?
She immediately perks up, salivating and snarling happily as she rises on hind legs and swipes several practice swings to limber up. She splays her dark claws wide and pins you with an eager, blood-thrilling stare, which I'm not concerned about at all because I kicked her fucking ass in one-on-one in a real fight.
Come!
Though, to be fair, that was with magic. Before you can step even a single foot forward, the Beast Woman surges for you without warning, without waiting, tackling you hard about the waist. The force of her weight slams into you, her muscled shoulder rammed into your gut, and you both tumble for the ground in a tangle of limbs, hair, and claws. Headbutter. Hands gripping her hairy shoulders to steady yourself, you ram your forehead as hard as you can into her swarthy snout. Bone crunches audibly. I got a bronze helmet. And Kills in Shadow howls, rearing back as blood spates down to the front of her chin and throat. She gnashes her red-tinged fangs, pained and furious and looking for a moment as if she may very well tear your throat out. But then she licks the blood coating her lips and grins at you dangerously. Beast Woman likes fighting with Alpha, she purrs and carefully, sensually crawls back. Oh, God. Nope. Not touching that with the fucking 10-foot pole. I love Kills in Shadow, but
your
no.
latest acquisition has me thinking about the spires some more. By all accounts, they go as far back as the old walls. Over the centuries, the nobles of the tiers have claimed the spires, but they've only ever battled over the land at the ground level of the monuments. I've never seen the glyphs of a spire light up in all my years. Not until you show up. If this were an isolated incident, I'd be confused. But it seems the spires, plural, are somehow connected to you. What's your secret?
I've studied at Tunan's feet, proclaimed edicts, and broken them too. I'm sure I've been exposed to all sorts of arcane powers. A long sigh escapes Lantern, and he sticks his quill into his mouth, chewing on the tip. His head tilts from one side to the other, muttering in incoherent half-words. Well, I always want to know what you're thinking.
My mind is going back to Ascension Hall. I wonder if Graven Ash or Narot had claimed it as their own, would the spire come alive for either of them the way it did for you?
The Edict of Execution was pushing for someone to claim Ascension Hall. And based on other experts' opinions, I don't think that's a coincidence.
Ah, such a clever child. I can't imagine the Overlord would ever carelessly word an edict. You are right. I don't imagine Kairos leaves anything to mere coincidence.
You know what? I legitimately think Kairos wants to retire. Do you think the spires are connected to Kairos in some fashion?
If you're asking if Kairos built them or controls them, no. They predate all mention of Kairos, and I'm sure if Kairos could control the other spires, that fact would be shamelessly flaunted. But it occurs to me that perhaps Kairos didn't have a connection, but does now, thanks to your actions.
Are there stories of awakened spires elsewhere in Taratas? That's the name of the planet they're on, by the way.
There are other spires, and I've heard of notable figures trying to build monuments atop or astride the spires, but nothing I've read matches the mystical connection you've made with the spire.
Well then, let's get going. Actually, I think I can ask him about the types of ink.
One moment, my friend. Just let me finish this thought. Of course. How can I help?
You're taking a lot of notes. What about?
All kinds of things. My mind is old. Memory's a sieve. Keeping track of you, noting what I hear of the war, scribbling down reminders to myself, that sort of thing.
Is it safe to be writing on your arms that much?
Oh, certainly not. But it depends on the ink I'm using. Too much cerulean and I can't sleep. But just the right amount, and I can write all night. The red ink will give you swamp bottom if you drink it, but absorbed through the skin, it'll make you taste colors and smell music. Speaking of which, I should change out my tip. I use 3 kinds: sepia, cerulean, and a red that's never the same shade. My recipe needs work. I like having 3 colors, but they also provide different states of mind for writing.
Sounds like fun. Can I try them?
I can't in good conscience poison you.
Consider it a lesson. Cautionary tale about wishing for things. Fatherly moment. Any of those work for you?
Oh, fine. The things I do to educate the youth. Here's how it works. The reds give you a brief bout of synesthesia, great for writing music. Cerulean can unhinge me a bit, but it blocks out the cramps and anxiety. My sepia ink is perfect for quiet contemplation, also insomnia. Made from only the finest cuttlefish.
I'll do the sepia. Dipping a finger and tasting it, your tongue is assaulted by the sour taste of improperly cleaned squid.
What do you think?
Ponder your place in the world.
I'd say it's working. Sit and enjoy that for a bit. It'll wear off soon.
Vanisher replaces his vials in his bandoliers and turns his attention to writing notes on his sleeves. We will get this done. One way or another.
Couldn't help but notice the bird from Cacophony.
I received a missive from the Archon of Secrets. Fucking Narot.
Obviously. Unless you've got a secret admirer among the Bloodhounds. I've always found the whole sunburn from within look a bit of a turnoff, but whatever gets your pants juice flowing. But seriously, what's the boss want from us now?
Want to read it?
Maybe summarize it for me?
Verse glances at the voice's wildly inconsistent lettering, which is why I'd read it the way I did, because I fucking figured that he'd... Only person. Well, R is also the total fucking nut job. At least Narot has a... I don't know. They're both just... He says someone's been bragging about your sisters. Know what he means by that?
Wait, what? He found one of the shits who killed my Furies? Let's pack up and go.
There's something else. These strange symbols on the back.
There's a lot to love about spycraft. The trickery, the blade work, keeping your senses awake, balancing on the edge between confusion and discovery. Memorizing the Archon's childish pictographs is not my favorite part.
She examines the parchment, frowning.
Malphora. She's one of Harshion's people. Bit boring, but gossipy in the way that pays. We should be able to find her along the road to Lethian's Crossing.
A lot of glyphs for so little.
The voices gave us the passphrases that will get Malfora to open up to us. When we find her, let me do the talking and everything should run smooth as sea glass.
She rubs her hands together.
This will feel good, Finder. Wildly, incredibly, stupidly good.
And the Archon's sudden interest in your revenge doesn't seem suspicious at all to you.
Are you asking me if I trust the voices of Nerat? Archon of Secrets, Spy Master, Arcane Pillar of Green Smoke and Flame, Immortal Magician, Eater of Minds, and Connoisseur of Perversions?
And it's those last two that make me fucking hate him so much.
Of course not. But if it's some convoluted trap, I'll have your back and you'll have mine, right?
Yeah? At least you got that one right.
Lead the way.
And if we're gonna be doing that...
At your service. What do you need? Point me in the...
Then... I don't know.
Be seeing you, Fatebinder.
I'll travel with Barik later. Oh shit, no, stop, fuck. I was supposed to... Damn it. I was supposed to travel immediately to talk with Tunon. While making your way through the wilderness, you come across some shrubs. Defer to Ebb. Refuse her. Yeah, of course I'm not going to eat the fucking things. They're going to poison me. But I forgot. I have to go directly to the Bastard City. Please don't hate me, Tunon. Please don't hate me, Tunon. I didn't do any missions. I hit the wrong thingy. I forgot. Oh, no. Well... Okay, good. Okay. Based on what you told me, it seems a stretch to believe... Tunon's not mad. That's what the status report says. It's like, okay, good. We'll wait your arrival, which is fine. Anyway, Mythosis has some words for us. Based on what you've told me, it seems a stretch to believe that these events are mere coincidence or circumstance. Kairos' edict of execution was a setup for someone to claim Ascension Hall. To think that Kairos did not know what would happen is a massive underestimation of the Overlord's long view, which me and Lanatree agree with. You have been thrust into the arena of the mighty. Your options are retreat into obscurity, suicide, or rising to the occasion. I suggest the third option, which is exactly what I'm doing. If I were you, I would use my connection to the spires to see if they will awaken to my presence. Every Tearsman sees the spires in the horizon. If they know you are the master of the spires, they will see you each time they look at sunrise or sunset. Foster a reputation for power, make others fear you. That's what I've seen Kairos and every living Archon do for as long as I've lived. And there's reasons for this. There's the practical case that power and a reputation can insulate from threats, but there's the lesser-known element that I can't prove, but I know in my heart to be true. The fear and love of others will strengthen your magic. Well, I'm not going to make everybody fear me. I'm going to make them love me. I'm going to be a badass. I guess my enemies will fear me. The last part I've inferred from my discussions with Bledenmark, and the few times he has spoke of his gruesome work of slaying those who might rise to threaten the Overlord, he has hinted that it's easier to kill the rogue elements before they become famed and fearsome. In my lifetime, I saw Graven Ash change from an unknown militiaman to a fearsome general, and I can assure you he did not have the power to shield his warriors in those days when he was without title or reputation. The Archons will never, ever discuss the origin of their power, because such knowledge might be used against them. But I have known that all the Archons to be obsessed with the presentation of power. Your connection to the spires will all but guarantee the Archons will want to control and destroy you. It's a question of when, not if. Start thinking and acting like an Archon. As far as I'm concerned, you are an Archon. The Archon of the Spires. We are quick to place labels on powers we easily spot, and history is replete with the Archons of fire and ice. It is foolish to think there must be a word for a thing before an Archon can control it, the other way around. The Archons show us what is possible, and we must step to their dance. I will ask about Kairos' wrath. Why hasn't the Overlord dealt with me? An edict or just a simple request of Blood and Mark would be no small threat, but neither seems to have happened. Now, as for Archon,
Fatebinder, we have always enjoyed the mewling of hungry kittens. We appreciate you adding their voice to their song.
Don't worry, Archon. You'll die.
Mark my words, you'll die.
Hopefully I'm not late, Tunon. I tried not to be.
You return as summoned, despite the weight of responsibility on your shoulders. The court appreciates your devotion to our good work. It should come as no surprise that your activities are closely monitored. As an extension of Kairos' law in the frontier, your progress is a topic of some interest.
Tunon
I
pauses.
sent you on a mission to bring order to the chaos of this civil war. Not enough time has passed for me to expect any significant progress, but I am curious about your findings all the same. I want to make sure your time outside the court's shadow is being used effectively. It sounds as if the dissident factions of the Tiers hold you in some esteem. Be wary of tightening your bonds with the southern savages. We are meant to rule these people, not walk among them. If your activities shed light on what transpired at Vendrian's Well, and the chaos of the Tiers, then we trust your judgment.
I suspect that the Tiersmen can govern themselves better than even Kairos.
That is a bold claim, but I can tell that you stand ready to defend it. Even though I cannot thank you for such a damning remark, the court appreciates your honesty. You have spent some time on your own recognizance. The efforts of our military and the challenges they face should be no mystery to you. Tell me, are you any closer to determining which of the Archons is at fault for the troubles of this campaign?
I don't have enough evidence at this point.
Come now. Your decision does not bind you to an accusation at this time. I only wish to know if you have had success uncovering any evidence of misdeed or malfeasance. If you believe either of the Archons has acted in a manner not befitting their station, give voice to it.
Well, I definitely believe Narat is guilty of inciting chaos.
Interesting. On what grounds do you make this claim?
Well, for starters, he 100% took every opportunity to provoke Ash.
I suspected as much. Though what the Archon of Secrets thinks he can gain from inciting such a conflict is anyone's guess. I look forward to receiving your full report. I will summon you again at the appropriate time.
Nope, no further questions. Bye! Bye-bye, Blood and Mark. Please don't kill me. Be a hell of a fight, but that'll be. Anyway, with that being said, let's go back to the Merchant Crossroads. Looks like we're not going to get to the Blade Grave this episode, but we will 100% make it next episode. Another fuck... It's like I'm trying to get to the cool part for you guys. It's just a lot of reading and shit. Oh well, that's part of the story, I guess. Archon Ethan Drake, allow me to address you by such a title before it becomes fashionable to do so. I pride myself as a woman who stays ahead of the trends. Why Kairos smites some but allows others to exist is a question we all ponder. The Overlord can certainly appear arbitrary, and if I've learned anything, that's the point. Kairos is intentionally aloof and distant, both for matters of personal security and because if you had to wrangle the most powerful entities of Tyratus, you'd need to keep them from getting too comfortable. To me, the most obvious answer is that Kairos knows exactly what you are doing. She probably approves of your actions and is likely working at every opportunity to create a situation wherein you are acting in your own self-interest while satisfying her ambitions as well. You have to consider one important detail. There is nowhere left in Tyratus to conquer now that the Tears are in the Overlord's grasp. What would the great generals do in a time of peace? Narad is barely tolerable when you have need of a spy master. Why keep around such a monster when you no longer have need of such a gruesome weapon? I would argue that it is in Kairos' interest that the Tears be a costly invasion that claims the lives of as many Archons as possible. Not enough meat in the Tears to keep too many sharks sated for very long. Kairos ordered everybody to take Ascension Hall or die. The or die must have been an acceptable option, correct? If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say you have the most unspoken backing of the Overlord. It's not like Blood and Mark can't find you whenever he wants. Speaking of which, inquire into the killings. You have made mention of Blood and Mark and his killings. During my training, Fatebinder Callio hinted that much of Blood and Mark's work involves killing off threats before they blossom into genuine problems. So it's curious to hear you second that fact. So, let's say for the sake of argument that I am some Archon. Is it just a matter of time before Mark is sent to kill me? Blah, 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 blah. And with that, I'm actually going to end this episode. We will get to talking to her a little bit later. I have a feeling that the conversation is going to run long, and I want to do her versus quest path all in one episode instead of starting it now. And technically, I have, but I haven't gotten to the neat parts yet. But I'd rather do as much of it as possible in a single episode. So, as said, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, please do vote on the character classes and weapon styles for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, because that is going to happen after this campaign. And once again, a reminder that once Cyberpunk 2077 releases, I will be playing it, and there are also votes ongoing for what character to play. You can vote based off of personality and or fighting style. And if I have a character that matches, I will consider that added to the votes. If not, I will make one. And if you ever change your mind, just vote on a more recent video. That does release September, like late to mid-September. So the video should be out sometime right around there. Whenever the game does release. I am going to drop everything to do it, so yeah, there's that. Currently, 2 characters are tied for the votes. Aurora Valkenheim, which is a super soldier, cybernetic lady who's kind, compassionate, a little bit motherly at times, but has a little bit of fire to her. Let me put it that way. She's mostly just kind and compassionate, but she has her streaks. She has her moments where she's really angry and stuff. There's also Dagrid Vickers, who is a roguish trickster type man. They are currently tied for the lead at the time of recording. So, place your votes, place your bets. You'll determine the course of that campaign. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.